Hello everyone. So today we are going to work on a UI to control this holographic weapon printer that we have worked on previously. So here, using these buttons, we can change what's the weapon that we are going to print. For now I have only two weapons, so that's why you see only these two weapons here. And whatever the weapon I choose, if I hit print, it will start printing like this, and after the printing process is done, you have this solid weapon. So here, if I can, again, if I want, I can change the weapon and hit print. So as you can see here, it gets printed, so it becomes a solid object. So this is what we are going to work on today, this UI part, and how to connect it with the actual with the actual 3D printer blueprint. And this episode is sponsored by Adam Ockler. And before we get started, I'd like to remind you, you can download the project files of this project and all other thousands of projects that I have done in my channel from the Patreon page. Once you become a member, you can download anything without a limit. So here there are two tutorials that I covered before this step, which covers how to implement this holographic material and then how to implement this holographic printer setup. So I leave the links to these two tutorials as well, because here I'm just going to use that those two the project that I have implemented in those two tutorials and just set up the UI part. So yeah, let's get back to today's tutorial. Okay, so this is what we had implemented as of the last episode of this series. So here, if I just play the game, you can see the weapon is first shown as a hologram and then it's printed as a proper 3D model like this. So now what I want to do is add in a UI component that when we go here, the camera will be focused like this, and then we will have some UI which can control which gun that we need to print and then initiate the printing process. Okay, so first here, let me open this weapon printer blueprint, and here let's first add a camera, so that would be the camera that we will be looking at this printer. So let's add a camera component, and here, where's the camera? Okay, camera is like this, but I need it to be somewhere like this, looking towards this printer. So let's rotate this 180 degrees and move it back, maybe like this. Let's see how it looks. Okay, fine, but here we don't see these lines. That's because the camera is parallel to these planes that go up. So maybe we should have a little angle. Yeah, see, now those lines are visible. All right, and I think we should move this up a little bit too. Okay, now when we play the game here, if I play, this is what happens. So let's manually focus this on this camera. For that, here I'll add a custom event. Let's call it process printer. So basically, for now I will manually make the player camera blend with this camera, but later on let's implement a system when the player character go here and maybe press E, goes to this view. Okay, so how do we process the printer? We can get player controller, and then we can set view target with blend, and as the new view target I'll give self. So then this camera will be used as the player camera. So blend time, let's say 0.3 seconds, and let's call this in the begin play. Yeah, let's disconnect this. 1 second and process printer. Alright, now here if I play the game, see, now we are focused on the weapon printer. Okay, alright, so to make testing easy, I'll just skip this part, the delay part. And then the next thing is, so here actually now it doesn't start printing, it's just the hologram. Now let's add a simple UI, a widget, so that we can control the printer. WDG printer, let's call it 3D printer. Let's add a canvas panel, and I need 3 buttons, 2 buttons on the sides to press next, change next and previous weapons, whatever we need to print, and then another button to just print. So let's add a button, and I'll set the anchor to the middle, this alignment 0.5, size 100 by 100, and position y0, this let's say -100. Okay, I'll set the x alignment to 1, so it will be aligned to this edge. And as for the color, I would choose something similar to this color, this holographic color that we have. So background color pick. All right, I think this matches. Right, now let's give a little opacity as well. 6, great. And let's add a text, and I'll center it. So basically this should be like this, because previous weapon, that's what I want to have here. We don't need any padding. And font, let's hit 32. Okay, all right, now this is btn proof. Let's duplicate this. This should be btn next, and the text should face the other side. This should be anchored x400 0. Okay, previous and next button is complete. Let's add the print button also, same as before. Position y maybe 150, x 400, next print, let's make it all caps. All right, this should be larger, so 200, maybe that's not required. All right, so now we have the map. Let's make this larger. looks like a main button. Okay, now let's, here in this process printer, let's create this widget, WDG 3D printer, and add to report. Right, now let's see. Okay, wait, did I simulate or play a plane? So my mouse vanishes. That's because I am in the game input mode. So get player controller, set input mode to UI only, and then set show mouse cursor to true. Okay, see, now we have the mouse cursor. We can press the buttons, but nothing happens. Alright, so the next thing I want to do is connecting this print button. When I press the print button, the printing should start. So for that, here let's add a new variable, EP printer P weapon printer. Let's just call it weapon printer, and it should be from the type BP weapon printer. So now here let's add a on clicked event. Let's rename this. This should be PTN print. Okay, now if we have a valid printer object, we can call print weapon function. That means the function that we have here, the custom event, not a function, event. And right now, but we don't have a reference to this this weapon printer variable by default. So what we can do is, when we create this widget, we can do this, set weapon printer, and pass a reference to self from this weapon printer blueprint. Now it should have a valid reference. See, now it starts printing. Okay, but still nothing happens. What if I press again? Yeah, it reprints. Alright, now to change in the weapon part. So let's go back to the weapon printer blueprint, and here let's add a function, change selection, and here I'll add an input next or previous. So let's call this site, no, let's call it next. Okay, so now in these two mesh components, I hold a reference to shotgun skeletal mesh. So, but the solid one uses my weapon shotgun, which is this. This is actually the solid material that we have implemented, and it only shows a half. That's because we are using some here, this fade line parameter, so that we can make it appear and disappear. So we have already worked on that. I'm not going to explain it again, but you can refer to the previous tutorials to understand that if you don't remember. So yeah, so how do we change this? Let's have a custom data structure. Let's create a custom data structure. Blueprint structure as weapons, and here mesh and hollow material and solid material. Mesh should be a mesh. Well, actually it's a skeletal mesh. Skeletal mesh, object reference, hollow material. I think for this we can use a material base. What's the data type here? Actually, let's use material instance. Material instance. Okay. All right. Now here in the printer, let's add a new variable. Let's call it weapons, and I'll make this structure, this data type as weapons. I think I should have called this not weapon, not as weapon data, because it's plural if I put s. All right, now here I'll turn this into an array. So as the first one, I'll put this skeletal mesh shotgun, SK shotgun, and the material is this shotgun holographic. That's the hollow material. My weapon shotgun holographic, and this is shotgun my weapon shotgun. Now another pistol. I have already imported the pistol mesh. That's also only half visible. That's because of the material we have used. So pistol and my weapon pistol. Now just like this, we need to create a holographic material instance for the pistol as well. So let me let's call pistol material my weapon pistol my weapon pistol holographic. Now here I'll change the parent to my weapon M hologram, and this is actually the shotgun texture, so I'll make it pistol texture. All right, the rest should be fine. Let me double check with here. -10 2. Okay, -10.2. It's 2. All right. Okay, save everything. Let's assign this oh wait, this is the pistol. let's assign this to here. Hollow material. The other one is solid pistol material, like this. Okay, now we can get to reference to this hollow and solid, and then here. So since we have only two weapons, it doesn't matter, the direction doesn't matter, because it will just interchange between pistol and the shotgun. But if we have multiple weapons, then we would need a counter. So selected weapon should be an integer, not an array. Selected weapon index. Okay, by default this should be 0. Selected weapon index, and here, well, next maybe let's change this to increment and make it integer. So add these two together, and then set the selected weapon index. So but we need to make sure this is clamped between, oh wait, no, not a clamp. So here, if this is less than 0, then selected weapon index would be the last index of weapons, last index of weapons array, because that means we are going in a cycle. If the selected weapon is 0, the first one, if I press previous, it should go to the last one. Okay, if not, then we need to check if this is larger than the last index. If that is the case, we need to set selected weapon index as 0, because we are going back to the 0th element. If not, we can simply set it. Weapon index is whatever this value. Okay, so no matter which path we take, oh, not a return, and a reroute node, at the end we need to update the meshes. So 𝐂𝐻olo set skeletal mesh asset, both 𝐂𝐻olo and 𝐂𝐻olo and 𝐂𝐻solid. So we need to get from the weapons, get whatever the selected weapon, split, set the mesh like this, and then for 𝐂𝐻olo set material hollow material, and for solid 𝐂𝐻solid set material the solid material, like this. And here we have only one material index, so we don't have to worry about those details. But if we do have multiple material indices, then you might have to, this function might get a bit complicated, but we don't need to worry about that for now. Okay, so now here, this, let's unclick, I'll get the weapon printer, convert to a validated get, and select change selection. Increment would be -1 because this is previous button. And here the same thing, but the increment would be +1. Alright, I hope I made everything correctly. Let's test. Yeah, see, we can change the weapon, but we have only two weapons, so it doesn't make much of a difference. And hit print. As you can see, now we have a solid pistol. So if I change again, obviously it changes. And prints like this. Okay. Alright, so that's actually all I wanted to cover in this episode. Maybe later on let's implement a way to actually pick up this weapon, print it, and use it in the game. Something like that would be nice to try out. So thanks for watching. As always, updated project files will be available for the download in the Patreon page. Link would be in the description below. And see you in the next episode. Goodbye.